I feel really sorry for the winner of the Minnesota Twins and Houston Astros series, because whoever comes out on top out of those two teams has to go up against the Texas Rangers, who are red hot at the right moment. And that's saying a lot, because this team was super shaky heading into the postseason. They barely held on to the AL West, and the AL West was a tight race up until the last day. I mean, there was a really good chance the Houston Astros win the division, but the Rangers pulled away and they carried that momentum into the postseason. I think it's very fair to say that as things stand currently, the Texas Rangers are favorites to, come out of the American League. I don't think there's a better team right now than the Rangers. I mean, sure, the Twins could pull away, but, let's be real. The Houston Astros are winning that series, and if they do win, I don't know if the Houston Astros have what it takes to dethrone the Texas Rangers, especially with how they're playing. I mean, let's take a look at their wildcard series versus the Rays, which was pretty short, as were the rest of the wildcard matchups. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that every wildcard series this year ended in a sweep, so of course that's the way that the Rangers and Rays game went. But to kick off the wildcard matchup versus the Tampa Bay Rays, the Texas Rangers decided to go with their newly acquired starting pitcher. Yes, this guy was picked up July 30th, and all of a sudden he's starting game one of the wild card. I'm talking about former St. Louis pitcher Jordan Montgomery. Now, Jordan Montgomery only played, 11 games for the Texas Rangers this season because he came over from the Cardinals, and during those 11 games, he went 4 for 2. He pitched about 67 innings, so he's got some familiarity with the catchers on this team, and, he had a pretty good ERA. All it cost the Rangers was 2 of their top prospects, but I don't think prospects seem to matter to the Rangers right now because they are in win-now mode. I mean, they also traded for an ace in Max Scherzer in the deadline, who is not able to be with the team currently due to injuries, which sucks. I don't know if he comes back at the end of postseason, maybe World Series. Maybe he recovers by then, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure Max Scherzer is done for the year. Anyway, Jordan Montgomery, like I said, came from the Cardinals. He actually played worse on the Cardinals this season. His ERA was way higher. His whip was higher. And, his wins, losses weren't looking nice. But maybe that's just because the Cardinals were a bad team. All you really need to know is how Montgomery performed in Game 1 versus the Rays, which was phenomenal, by the way. I mean, he went out and gave the team 7 quality innings, which is a lot to ask for, especially in a playoff game, where most of the time, teams will have their starters go 3 or 4 innings and then put in all of their relievers because their season's on the line. Anyway, he went, pitched 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, and had 5 strikeouts. Really locked down this talented Tampa Bay squad, who I know are injured. I get they have tons of injuries, but that doesn't mean anything because Montgomery locked them the fuck down. And in doing so, it gave the offense a ton of momentum, which they used against Tyler Glasnow, who, got raked off of. The Rangers were able to score 3 runs on him in 5 innings, and they ended up winning the game 4-0. That's how Game 1 went. Now, Game 2 is a little bit of the same stuff. I mean, again, the Texas Rangers starting pitchers were amazing this game. I want to say that they had Nathan Eovaldi pitching in Game 2, and he went out. He didn't throw for 7 innings, but he went for 6 2/3, which is just as good. I mean, again, another starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers throws for nearly 7 innings in a game in the playoffs. That's huge because now the rotation isn't being wasted and they could hold it on for the ALDS, which they did. Anyway, Eovaldi went out, 6 hits, gave up a run, and had 8 strikeouts, so he played really well and was a key contributor to this 7-1 win. It was a blowout. They blew the hell out of the Tampa Bay Rays, which got them to the ALDS versus the Orioles. Now, many would think that there's no way the Texas Rangers can follow the masterclass they put up against the Tampa Bay Rays with something even better, especially against a Baltimore Orioles team who's arguably the better team and is healthier currently than the Rays are, but they did. Now, was the pitching as good in this series? No, it wasn't. Some of the starting pitchers did struggle, but they were able to focus on the bats this go around, and because of the middle of the order, they were able to come away with Game 1. I mean, thanks to guys like Evan Carter and Jonah Heim pulling in runs, they won this game 3-2. And that was a massive win for the Rangers because it was the first close win that they had their entire playoff run up until that point. And that carried over to game 2, where they got off to a hot start. They had 9 runs by the 3rd inning. Shout out Mitch Garver. He had 5 RBIs, and Corey Seager had like 5 walks. So I think those 2 things are impressive on their own. But again, starting pitching didn't do its best. Hell, even relieving pitching didn't do its best for the Rangers, as they would go on to give up 8 runs. They almost came back, the Orioles, but it didn't matter. The Rangers won that game 11-8, I'm pretty sure, which leads us to game 3, the elimination game. Now, you would think, because of the way the season played out for the Baltimore Orioles, there is no way this team gets swept in the playoffs. Sure, they're young and they're inexperienced, but they've been one of the best teams in the American League, hell, in all of baseball the entire year. They have to win 1, right? Well, that didn't happen, and that wasn't thanks to Nathan Eovaldi, who had another masterclass of an outing. I mean, this is 2 games. He's performed really well in his postseason run. He could be the reason they win it all. And I really mean what I'm saying here, because he went out and had another fantastic game, this time reaching the 7-inning mark. He only gave up 1 run again, only 5 hits, and 7 strikeouts. So his performance was near identical to the one he had in Tampa. And if he's able to do that against either the Astros or the Twins, I honestly think he can carry them over the edge. Now, do they win if they make it to the World Series? I don't know. I feel like the NL is more top-heavy. Like a team like the Dodgers or the Phillies or the Braves is going to be tough to beat for the Rangers. But with the way they're playing, I can't say that I see anyone beating them right now. Of course, that could change overnight depending on how they play in the ALCS, but we'll get there when we get there. And let me not carry on with this video without giving major props to Bruce Bochy, because this is his first season managing the Texas Rangers after going on a little 4-year hiatus from managing in general, and he's taken this team to new levels. Of course, the talent's gotten much better on this team due to some younger guys rising up and a bunch of free agent signings and trades made during the last few seasons. But again, they don't get to where they're at without a good manager behind them. A successful one who knows what it's like to reach the mountaintop. And sure, did the last few seasons with the San Francisco Giants look pretty ugly for Bruce Bochy? Maybe. The last 3 weren't very good, but he was coming off of a dynasty that he had built from the ground up, alright? I mean, this team the Giants had, they won 3 World Series in 6 years, less than a decade ago. The last one they had won was in 2014, 9 years ago. So that's not very long ago, especially if you look at the whole landscape of baseball. He's been a manager of a dynasty. He knows what it's like to win. Who says he can't do it again? Not me. I believe in this man. And not only do I believe in Bruce Bochy, but I believe in the whole front office, because they were able to turn this organization around overnight, it feels like, okay? The last few seasons, they only had 60 wins. The COVID year wasn't any good. They hadn't made the playoffs for about 5 or 6 years, so yeah, you could argue it took a while to get to where they're at. But from 68 wins to 90 in 1 year, that's a huge jump. And now they're in the ALCS, even bigger jump, okay? And all of a sudden, Bruce Bochy's first year, they got Max Scherzer injured. They have Jordan Montgomery. They have more acquisitions than I can count. And that's why this team is where they're at today. Anyway, like I said, that's about it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Much love. Deuces.